What's good, YouTube? Flash Speaks back. Another video, man. This is another video where I gotta speak to my fellow Philadelphia Eagle fans, in particular those who are here in the city. I don't really know the vibe of those who live outside the city and so on. I don't know how much access they have to local radio stations, local, news, TV stations, or anything like that. So, this is what's happening with the team. Because I've been following the Eagles my whole entire life. And I'm not going to tell you my age, but I remember watching Dick Vermeil. That's all I'm going to say. I literally remember Dick Vermeil. Now, I was very young, and I didn't quite understand everything that was happening, but I remember his retirement when he cried, all of that. I remember watching the 1983 Super Bowl between the Raiders and the Redskins. I remember John Riggins, all of that. I'm around there. I remember the whole Randall era, McNabb, obviously, all of that. Okay. Nick Sirianni snapped out after the game. Okay? And y'all already know I'm not a Nick Sirianni guy. Anyone who's followed the channel, in any capacity, knows that I'm not a Nick Sirianni guy. But you know what I am going to tell you? I understood the way Nick Sirianni was acting yesterday. I understood his actions. I'm not saying they were the right actions. I'm not saying none of that. But I understood his actions. And let me just talk to y'all a little bit about human nature. All right? Human beings were created in a certain way. Were created to be stewards and to rule the earth. Now just follow me, okay? This is the way we were created, especially when you talk about the male. The male. And that includes guys like Nick Sirianni. He has some sort of dignity. And this is why, when people talk crap about us or someone called you stupid or something like that, you're offended. Because you're a human being and you see yourself higher than that. Now, let's look at Nick Sirianni. Whether you like him or not, Nick Sirianni heard the crowd out there in a game that they really weren't going to lose saying, "Fire Nick." Just as a man, he out there hearing these types of people in the crowd yelling that. Fire Nick, all because you mad something went wrong, there was a block kick, whatever. Just at that moment, that emotional reaction that you have. Nick Sirianni hears that. Also, this is on top of the fact that he's been hearing calls for him to get fired pretty much all year. He's the problem for this, he's the problem for that. And I'm one of the culprits as well. Because I know damn well he's one of the big problems. But just try to understand it from his perspective and the perspective of the Eagles. Though they've been hearing all of that and taking it in, y'all expect them to not have no reaction or not feel any type of way towards fans. Y'all expect complete subservience and servitude because you're a fan. You got some type of privilege that you feel. And that's the part I don't get. I got a lot of smoke for Nick, and I've had smoke for him. But if Nick proves me wrong, and then he decides to turn around and talk smoke or talk shit to me, whatever way you want to look at it, I can actually understand. See, I'm a disher. And to me, I was always raised it's okay to dish out punishment, dish out smoke, but you gotta be able to handle it when it's given back to you. So Nick Sirianni at the end of the game snapping out on the fans, yelling at him, that was just his natural response. Now I know y'all think, well, he has to be a professional and he has to be able to conduct himself in a certain way as a coach. You think as a fan, you don't have to be professional in any capacity. You feel like you could be the biggest asshole, dickhead, whatever that you want. because you're a fan. That's your mentality. You feel like you can disrespect this man, and he's not allowed to return the disrespect. And that's the difference between you and me. You know me, I'm the type where, like, if I yell at Nick Sirianni, and he yelled back at me, I should be able to take his yell back because of the fact that I yelled at him. I don't believe like I have some special privilege as a fan over him because I'm watching or I'm paying money or any of that. I don't believe those things give me the right to disrespect a man, especially if I can't take it back. But anyway, those are just forethoughts. What's happening right now with the Eagles and everything, and it started with the fan base. Right now, the way the fan base is. The team right now went into the bye at 2-2. And because of the way that game at Tampa Bay looked, most of the fan base here has just really been ridiculous, in my opinion. Flat out ridiculous, man. Flat out ridiculous. You're expecting this team to come out and look like their 2022 form, which is to come out and just dominate every single week. And I'm telling you that's ridiculous. And I'm telling you that it's stupid. And I'm telling you that it's stupid to be that way because of the fact that there is no metric that suggests to you that because the Eagles are playing the way they're playing right now in week 5 or week 6, that this means they're not a contender. Y'all think because the Lions up here running up and down the field and put up 47 points, that means the Lions are closer to being a contender than you are. And when in reality, they're not. They're not. Now, if they have a better record, sure. We got to beat their record. Just because the Lions did that to Dallas and just because the Eagles didn't look that glorious against the Browns does not necessarily mean the Eagles can't beat the Lions. We've watched enough football to know that that's not always the way that works. Styles make fights. Matchups determine who's going to win. All of these different things come into play. Did you see what the Saints did to the Cowboys? It was just as bad as what they did to them. And then what happened when we played the Saints? Exactly, right? So what a team does to the Cowboys or how they look to some other team, it has no bearing on how they will be if you match up with them. I mean, I just hope we understand these types of basic things and move away from being so damn emotional, man, all the damn time. What the Eagles are doing right now is they're starting to come together with their identity. And right now, part of that identity is going to be an us against the world type of thing. And you know who's telling them that? Who's going to preach that? Guys like Brandon Graham. Brandon Graham had to go and draw from his experience in 2017 when the Eagles had to develop an us against the world mentality. Hungry dogs run faster mentality. Why? Because this same Eagle fan base who are doubting these Eagles right now doubted the 2017 team. The same guys on the radio, your Joe DeCameras. At that time, your Anthony Garganos. At that time, your Mike Missinelli's. All these guys doubted the 27 Eagles. Why? Because they had built this narrative that Carson Wentz was the reason the team was successful. That was the narrative that they built. Because that's just the popular narrative and ways to look at football. So because they believe that this team couldn't win without Carson Wentz, they doubted that team, especially after Nick Foles looked horrible in his first game against the Raiders. And this is the irrationality that we're confronted with. Nick Foles, who hadn't played all year, except for a couple of snaps in the Rams game after Carson Wentz had got hurt, I believe it was week 13. He comes in and in his first game, he doesn't look good against the Raiders. And we assume that just because he didn't look good against the Raiders, that he will be horrible and we have no chance to win a Super Bowl or anything like that. No damn patience, no wisdom, no anything, no insight. Not even taking into consideration that it was his first damn action. That's what I'm talking about. That type of stupidity that you have. And it's not really stupidity, it's just emotionalism. So right now, we think because the Eagles ain't putting up 40s and 50s and all that kind of stuff, we're not even looking at the fact that they're implementing a new offense and not looking at the fact that these guys just came off of injuries. None of that stuff. We don't care about none of that. We want this team to be looking like the Lions. All right, so because y'all got that energy, because some of us, I'll say us, because we got that type of energy, we pumping out all that negativity. You know what happens? You know what that makes the team do? A team that's bent on winning, if you doubt them, you'll start to create a situation in the mind of the average Eagle where they're going to be like, fuck you. Do you understand that that's what happens with athletes? Because they're not your little girl, they're not your little slave that you could talk to any type of way like that. When you start putting out that type of energy, they're not going to think it's just a fan. They're going to be like, anybody that's saying we can't do it is like, F them. Now, they might not go on a radio station and say that. They might not go on YouTube and say that. I'm sure players won't do that. But to themselves, in their mind, they're looking at y'all like, man, whatever, dog. Y'all only with us when everything is just glorious. When there's any type of struggle, whatever, you want us to lose our jobs, you try and get us kicked out and all of that. So I'm just saying, this is the mentality that the team is going to have probably for the rest of the season. Right? I know most of y'all going to jump all on their meat, all on their dick once they start winning. I know that. Whereas me, I'm going to have the same perspective I've had. 1 week at a time, one game at a time, one matchup at a time, and slowly let's implement this offense. Like, I understand right now, the one thing, and man, big up to Seth Joyner. Seth Joyner is like the lone guy right now that has any type of sense, in my opinion, right now. Him and the great Dick Vermeil. These are my two rocks that I hold, that I kind of go to when it comes to Eagle fandom. Dick Vermeil and Seth Joyner. Seth Joyner is actually going in on the offense a lot. He's saying he's not seeing a lot of Jalen Hurts under center. He's not seeing an offense that is reflective of what he calls a Kellen Moore offense. And I would say where I disagree with Seth Joyner is this. I think what's happening is with them implementing the new offense, I think they're slowly introducing Kellen Moore's concepts. And they're using still, to a degree, a number of the things that they know Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown likes to do. Certain routes and stuff like that. Because those guys have worked together for years on that stuff, and they feel like their chemistry is going to be a big part of what helps the offense, and that is true. You don't want to completely interrupt the chemistry that Hurts has with AJ, that Hurts has with Devontae. You know, that's still the things that did work, you still keep. So I think that's a lot of what we're seeing. But it's just my opinion. I definitely don't know. I don't know 1/100 for what Seth Joyner knows in football, you know. But I just believe that these are one of the challenges that implementing a new offense brings. And that's all I think we're seeing with that, to be honest with you. But Eagle fans, this is what's happening. The more y'all doubt the team, the more y'all bitch about wins, how that again win wasn't pretty enough for you, and all of that kind of stuff. And the more you overlook the good things, like how we actually may have a secondary right now. The more you overlook the fact that, you know, the linebackers are playing pretty well. The more you overlook the fact that the defensive line, I think, was better yesterday. And I get it, bad offensive line with the Browns, but that's the way it is. Right? If you think you're going to go out there and just dominate teams like the Lions at the line, you're being a little unrealistic. That's why those teams are great, because they have great lines. We're going to have to get creative in those games. You know, you're not going to always just dominate because you have the better players. And it's definitely, I know with Jalen Hurts, as long as y'all continue to doubt him and keep acting like he is just, because right now the running theme now is that Jalen Hurts is just average at best. This is what these people are saying on the radio. A lot of these guys that are calling up, he's just average at best. The team isn't very good. They don't care. They think that because in 2022 you were a so-called excellent team, and then because last year you lost it, we're supposed to skip to 2022 already. Just by week 5, we should be running on all cylinders. This is the stupidity that you're dealing with. That is what it is, a stupidity. It's a dumb expectation and all of that kind of stuff. But that's the way Philly is right now. And I'm one of the lone people that disagree. But shout out to, what's my man, OG Wade, who calls up, WIP. Good job. The dude Chuck, though. Chuck is a sucker. Chuck is a sucker. And it's because he's emotional. I'm not saying he's a sucker as a man, dude. You ain't got to get all in your feelings if you hear this. But what I'm saying is, Like, you have no emotional control when it comes to your fandom. And, like, at a certain point, that stuff gets annoying, bro. Either you know football or you don't. And, pretty much, man, shout out to all the other content creators and everybody who's speaking on this. And I see with a lot of y'all, I'm just going to disagree with y'all, man. And you're going to be hearing from me again. Peace out.